Have you ever cried into your pillow so much that it became soaking wet? Just because your mind wouldn't stay quiet. Because someone's words, someone's presence, or their absence kept eating you up from the inside. Have you experienced nights when your eyes were shut, but your thoughts were racing 1,000 miles per hour? And the worst part, what hurts the most, is that the person, that mistake, that memory, it's no longer a part of your life. But somehow, it still lives rent-free in your mind. At some point, we all hold on to something too tightly. A relationship, a hope, a wrong decision. Sometimes we even hold on to guilt or anger towards ourselves. And this grip, it's not gentle. It's the kind of grip that slowly breaks us from within. Our heart whispers, maybe one more chance. Maybe they'll change. Maybe I was the one who was wrong. And in this endless loop of maybe, we lose sleep, peace, and sometimes we start losing who we are. But here's the truth. Holding on too tightly can drown us. Have you ever watched someone struggle in water? The more they thrash and panic, the more they sink. But the moment they let go, float, surrender, their body naturally starts to rise. That's the art of letting go. It's the quiet courage of loosening your grip. It's the strength of trusting that you'll be okay, even without what you lost. This is what Nick Trenton's book teaches. Letting go is not defeat. It's not weakness. It's wisdom. It's bravery. It's healing. The book reminds us that when we cling to yesterday, we lose today, and we block the light of tomorrow from ever entering our lives. We keep asking ourselves painful questions. Why did they do that? Why did I let this happen? Why does it always hurt me? These questions have no end, and most of the time, no answers. So we remain trapped, not because someone's keeping us there, but because we won't let go. Freedom doesn't come from answers. It comes from release. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means telling your heart, you don't have to break anymore. It means telling your mind, you're not a prisoner now. It means reassuring your soul. You have enough strength to smile again, without needing anyone else to complete you. But our mind loves to spin. We think, then think again, and then think about thinking. And the same painful thought plays on repeat, over and over, like a broken record stuck in one spot. I wish I hadn't said that. What if they misunderstood? Do they even think about me? We give these questions too much power, and in doing so, we hand over our sleep, our peace, and even our smile. This is the mental jail of overthinking, a prison without visible bars, built by our thoughts. In this jail, you are both the prisoner and the jailer. You punish yourself every single day for things that are already done, for things that were never in your control, and for people who no longer belong in your life. Nick Trenton explains this beautifully. Overthinking is an illusion born inside us. We often think that the more we analyze, the better decisions we'll make. That by thinking more, we'll understand something new or solve what's bothering us. But the truth is, overthinking isn't deep thinking. It's not even real thinking. It's that exhausting voice in our head that keeps repeating, "You messed up. Nothing's going to change now." And just like that, we fall back into the same mental trap, again and again. Most of us are not living in the present. We live more in the replay room of our brain than in real life. We keep playing old scenes in our head. What if I had said something different that day? What if I had forgiven them? What if I hadn't quit that job? These are all what ifs that will never actually happen. But even then, they steal our peace and rob us of sleep. According to Nick Trenton, overthinking often begins when we search for clarity but end up giving more space to fear. We believe that the more we think, the more control we'll gain. But what happens is, we start to lose control. And the worst part? It becomes an invisible cycle. You feel drained, but you can't stop. This mental jail starts to feel familiar, even safe. because at least it's something you know. But here's the big question. Is it possible to escape this loop? Yes, it is. And the first key is awareness. That simple moment when you catch yourself thinking in circles and say, "Wait, I'm doing it again." That's where freedom begins. Awareness means observing your thoughts instead of judging them. Imagine you're just watching a movie. You're not reacting. You're not getting pulled into the story. You're just watching and knowing. Yes, this is a thought, but it's not who I am. And when you do that, slowly, brick by brick, the walls of that invisible prison begin to fall. Now imagine if, every time your mind started running wild, you gently stopped it. Imagine if you could guide your mind like a calm hand resting on your shoulder. Think of your brain not as a wild horse, but as a still, peaceful lake, clear, calm, and under your control. Wouldn't you want that kind of mind? The second powerful tool to overcome overthinking is presence. In simple words, carpe diem, seize the day. When you focus on your breath, when you listen to the sounds around you, when you feel the floor beneath your feet, you are giving your mind a task. Stay here. Stay now. Nick Trenton's message is loud and clear. Your brain is an incredible tool, but it's just that, a tool. It is not your master. You are the master. And when you finally say, "Enough, I won't torture myself anymore," that's the moment you take the key back. The key to your peace, to your freedom. You must remember, thinking patterns don't form in a day, and they won't disappear in a day either. But every time you catch yourself and gently redirect your thoughts, you weaken that old habit. It's a practice. Like going to the gym daily for your body. This is a workout for your mind. And the most important thing? You are not alone. Millions of people around the world are fighting the same battle. They just don't talk about it. But if you're listening to this right now and it resonates with you, if you feel like this is your truth, then know this. The change has already started. We are human beings, yet we treat ourselves like machines. We expect perfection in everything. We often feel like every answer must be correct, every relationship must stay smooth, and everything in life should go exactly as planned. And the moment something goes wrong, our mind begins to panic. Why did this happen? Did I make a mistake? Why can't I control this? That's where the inner war begins. Not with the world outside, but within ourselves. We convince ourselves that if we can just keep everything under control, we'll be safe. But as Nick Trenton explains, this craving for control is a language of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being hurt, and above all, fear of appearing weak. Many of us grow up believing that if we become perfect, everyone will love us, or that if we never make a mistake, no one will leave us. That belief leads us into a trap, a fake world where we chase perfection and constantly put ourselves under pressure. We become like a pressure cooker, always on the edge of exploding. But here's the truth. Perfection is an illusion. There's no such person in the world who is perfect, yet we expect it from ourselves. And when we can't meet those impossible expectations, we start blaming ourselves. You're not good enough. You'll never be enough. Trenton reminds us that this constant chase of control and perfection usually comes from someone who is simply looking for peace. But ironically, they end up buying restlessness. Because the things we try hardest to control are often the ones that simply cannot be controlled, like people's behavior, unexpected situations, or the passage of time. And the more tightly we try to hold on, the more things seem to slip away, just like sand in a clenched fist. The harder you grip it, the faster it falls through your finger. We think that if we do everything right, life will become easier. But the opposite often happens. We forget how to laugh. We become afraid of making mistakes. We get so obsessed with doing everything perfectly that life starts to feel heavy and exhausting. We even begin expecting perfection from the people we love. Why didn't they say it like that? They should have understood. If they loved me, they wouldn't do this. But we forget, people are just people. They're not scripted characters who always say and do the right thing. Relationships don't grow through control. They grow through understanding, acceptance, and forgiveness. Now think about this. What if you began to accept others and yourself with all your flaws and imperfections? The emotional burden you're carrying would become so much lighter. Have you ever noticed how a child, even after making a mistake, still smiles? That's because they know the mistake doesn't define them. But as we grow up, we become so strict with ourselves that even the smallest mistake can feel like it's breaking us from the inside. We start punishing ourselves again and again for things that were never fully in our control. But Trenton shares a beautiful and simple truth. Acceptance is the antidote to control. When you start accepting things as they are, not as you wish they were, that's when true peace begins. You start forgiving others. You start forgiving situations. And most importantly, you start forgiving yourself. And that's when it hits you. Life doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. Have you ever wondered how just one bad moment can ruin your entire day? A small thing, just a comment. Or maybe someone ignores us. And inside our minds, we blow it up 100 times. One thought leads to another, then another. And before we realize it, we're stuck in a storm that no one else can see. It's not the world we're fighting, it's ourselves. We're the ones losing a battle inside our minds. This is how negative thoughts spread, like a virus. They trap us in a mental swamp. The more we try to escape, the deeper we seem to sink. Nick Trenton gives a perfect name to this cycle: mental loops. These loops begin when we overthink everything. We keep going back to the same pain, the same memories, like scratching a wound over and over again. Why did they say that to me? What if they had said something else? Do people think badly of me? One question opens the door to another. And behind every door is not peace, just more anxiety. And in all this thinking, we start confusing our thoughts with our identity. If fear arises in the mind, we label ourselves as cowards. If we feel jealousy, we start believing we're small. If we compare ourselves with others and feel defeated, we think we're not good enough. But Trenton reminds us, you are not your thought. To break out of the spiral, the first step is this: name your thoughts. If you catch a negative thought, pause and say to yourself, okay, this is fear, or this is comparison, or this is insecurity. Just by naming it, you create a little space between you and the thought. And in that small space, you get your power back. Because awareness is freedom, you don't need to stop the thoughts. You just need to recognize them. Think about this. If a stranger came up to you and said, "You're worthless," you'd be angry, you'd fight back. But when that same voice comes from inside your head, you believe it. Why? Because it sounds like your voice. But in truth, that's just old conditioning. It's made up of everything you've heard, suffered, and stored. And now, it has become your default setting. If you want to break the cycle of negative thoughts, it won't happen by accident. It takes effort. It's not a passive process. Imagine falling into a pit. If you do nothing, you'll sink deeper. But if you find even a small grip, a positive thought, a small action, a deep breath, you can begin to climb out. And that's what learning is. Understanding that not every thought deserves your belief. Trenton shares a powerful technique called pattern interrupt. When your mind starts spinning in a storm of thoughts, do something unexpected. Clap your hands loudly. Say "stop" out loud. Get up and walk around. Shift your body. This sudden action breaks the momentum of the loop. It's like slamming the brakes in your mind. And once you break that loop, you get to decide what to think next. Have you noticed how we speak gently to our friends? We tell them not to overthink, to believe in themselves, to take it easy. But when it comes to ourselves, we often tell others, don't overthink. Don't take things personally. But when it comes to ourselves, we're brutal. We speak to ourselves in ways we'd never speak to a friend. Why? You are human too. You also deserve kindness from yourself. You deserve time to heal, space to feel, and permission to forgive yourself. And when you begin to practice this daily, your brain starts to change. Slowly, the grip of automatic negative thinking begins to loosen. The wounds that once felt impossible to heal start softening. The fears you once ran away from, you now learn to sit with them in peace, to love, to care, to connect with others. These are some of the most beautiful gifts of being human. But if your happiness depends on someone else's mood, that's not love. It's emotional dependence. When someone's delayed reply ruins your sleep or their bad day becomes your burden, it's time to pause. Because that's not a connection anymore. It's an unhealthy attachment. And unhealthy attachment is not love. It's a prison. Nick Trenton shares something deep. Emotional detachment is not disconnection. It's balance. It doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It doesn't mean nothing should affect you. It simply means your peace is not dependent on someone else's presence. When you understand this, you become your own best friend. But many of us believe that truly loving someone means carrying all their problems, all their moods, all their pain. But that kind of love only exhausts you. You put so much weight on your heart, it stops beating freely, it starts dragging. Whether it's a relationship, a career, or a dream, when your identity becomes tied to one outcome, failure feels like losing yourself. But Trenton teaches us a better way. Don't tie yourself to outcomes, tie yourself to effort. Because outcomes are never fully in your control. But your effort? That's always yours. Emotional detachment isn't running away. It's a conscious decision to connect with others without losing yourself in the process. Because when you're emotionally entangled in everything, even a simple "seen with no reply" can break your day. A slightly cold tone feels personal. Someone being busy suddenly feels like rejection. And then we spiral. Did I do something wrong? Do they not need me anymore? Am I not enough? This is where detachment becomes your strength. It gives you mental space. It helps you step back and ask, is this really about me? Or am I overthinking again? Detachment gives you distance, not to run, but to respond instead of react. You still face the situation, but you don't drown in it. You don't let it steal your peace. As Trenton says, clarity never comes when you're in the middle of emotional chaos. When you're caught in every feeling, nothing seems clear. But the moment you pause, step back, breathe, and ask, what do I want? Am I connected to myself before trying to connect with someone else? That's when the fog clears. And with clarity comes peace. That's the real meaning of emotional detachment, to take responsibility for your mind. Your peace should not depend on someone else's behavior. Whether someone likes you, understands you, supports you, or not, you stay centered. Because your emotional stability becomes your strength, and this strength, it attracts the right people toward you effortlessly. You stop chasing approval. You become the magnet. Every person carries a story within, a quiet running narrative that plays day and night. But the problem is, most people never write this story themselves. Maybe someone once said something to you in childhood like, "You're not smart," and that single sentence turned into the script of your life. Maybe a breakup left you thinking, "No one will ever love me." Maybe one failure led you to believe, "I'm not good enough." These thoughts slowly become your identity. You repeat them so many times that they start to feel like the truth, even when they're not. That's how mental stories are born, not from reality, but from repetition. And over time, those beliefs create a cage, one you never asked to live in. But here's the truth. You are the author. This story, this identity, this entire mental script, you still hold the pen. And only you can rewrite it. We've all told ourselves things like, "Why does this always happen to me?" Or, "No one understands me." Or, "I'm just not lucky." These lines start as thoughts, but soon they take space in your mind, build walls around your confidence, and rob you of peace. Even if everything looks fine on the outside, Your mind whispers, "Not for you. You're different. Life will always be hard for you." And so, we stay trapped in a story we didn't even mean to create. Nick Trenton says these stories often come from a place of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of failing. And we cling to them because somehow they give us identity. We say, "I've been through a lot. I'm strong." And while that can be empowering, when that narrative begins to stop you from growing, it's no longer strength, it's limitation. So ask yourself, the story you've been telling, is it still your truth? Or is it just a shadow from the past that's blocking your present? Trenton offers a powerful yet simple solution. Observe your story. Write it down. Study your mental patterns. Notice how much of it is fear, how much of it is pain. And then ask, can I write a new story? What if you began saying, "I am learning. I am healing. I am forgiving myself. I'm not stuck in an old story. I'm writing a new chapter now." Just imagine how your thoughts, your energy, your very face would change. Because when you change the mental story, you change your future. Detachment is important, yes. But more than that, you must let go of the outdated stories that no longer serve you. It's time to add a new voice to your inner narrative, one that speaks not of pain, but of power. Say it clearly. Yes, I've made mistakes, but I am not those mistakes. Yes, I've been hurt, but I am not just a wound. Yes, I've taken time, but now I'm holding the steering wheel again. You must understand, your story can become your strength, but only if you stop playing it on repeat. If you keep reliving the same version, the same pain, again and again, you don't move forward. You stay stuck in a loop. Letting go isn't about a single dramatic moment. It's not about waking up one day yelling, "I'm done," and suddenly everything becomes lighter. No, the art of letting go is a daily practice, a slow, gentle release that begins every morning when you open. Nick Trenton reminds us, transformation isn't flashy, it's subtle. It's built with small habits. 10 quiet minutes spent reflecting on yourself. 2 minutes of deep breathing. One single moment at the end of the day to ask, do I feel even a little lighter today? Your mornings matter, because in the morning, your mind is most open. And if you start the day with overthinking, scrolling, comparison, you drown in that same energy all day. But if you take just a few moments to reconnect, through stillness, through journaling, through presence, you prepare your mind to be clear, grounded, and calm. Journaling isn't some fancy ritual. It's simply a way to listen to yourself without judgment. When you take your fears, your thoughts, your confusion, and put it on paper, it stops living inside of you. It loses its power to control you. Trenton calls this mental decluttering, and he's right. The mind is like a room, and if you don't clean it daily, eventually, you stop feeling safe in your head. Gratitude is what turns survival into strength. It's what takes your brain out of scarcity and brings it into abundance. Just 3 things a day you're thankful for, can train your mind to see the good. And when your mind starts looking for the good, it also begins releasing the weight of what's bad. But maybe the most important practice of all is presence. Trenton says we're either stuck in the past or lost in the future. And in both cases, we miss this moment, the one that's happening now. So when you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you talk to someone, really listen. It sounds simple, but that's what mindfulness is. And that's where healing starts, not from a big event, not from a job or a relationship or some far-off dream finally coming true. The real change always starts inside, with those small, daily victories. Every time you catch a negative thought and release it. Every time you forgive yourself instead of blaming. Every time you stay calm when you could have reacted, that's a victory. That's growth. Big change doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. And maybe, just maybe, with that space, you're already on your way. You leave. It is a practice. Every time you choose not to react with anger, but stay calm, that is practice. Every time you listen to your voice instead of trying to make everyone else happy, that is you practicing coming back to yourself. And yes, sometimes you'll feel tired. You might feel like you're going back to the same old place. It might feel like nothing is changing. But remember, letting go is not a straight path. It's not linear. We all want to fly. We all want to reach heights, chase dreams, rise above. But have you ever noticed? A bird cannot fly if something is tied to its leg. No matter how strong its wings are, the moment it's chained, flight is impossible. It's the same with us. We want to fly too, but we carry so many invisible weights. The weight of our past, the expectations of others, the memory of failures, the pain from people who hurt us, and the pressure we put on ourselves. All this becomes a heavy bag we drag around, making it hard to even move, let alone fly. Nick Trenton says letting go doesn't mean hate, it means freedom. When you let go of a person, or an old pain, or a past version of yourself, it doesn't mean you hate them. It means you're choosing to come back to yourself. You're reclaiming your own energy, the same energy that was stuck for years in guilt, in shame, in overthinking, in blaming yourself over and over again. And when you finally bring that energy back to you, that's when clarity comes. And from clarity, direction is born. Often we fear that if we forget someone, it means our love was fake. Or if we forgive, it means our pain was not real. But that's not true. Letting go is never an insult to your spirit. It's just a decision. A choice that says, now I want to make space for myself. Because when you keep holding on to old wounds, they don't heal, they rot. And that pain starts spreading everywhere, into your new relationships, your new goals, every decision you make. Trenton reminds us, baggage is not just what you've picked up. It's also what you haven't let go of. People's expectations, society's standards, comparisons, guilt trips, toxic attachments. And if you want to feel lighter, the first step is to create boundaries. Everyone should not have access to your energy. Not every word needs to be taken to heart. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Trying to make everyone happy is not peace. It's self-abandonment. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is self-care. And when you set boundaries with clarity, knowing what you want, what you will not tolerate, and where you want to go, you begin to come back to yourself. You become someone who is no longer fascinated by validation. You stop chasing everyone's approval. You rise above that noise. Now think. If you really let go, what would be possible for you? The journey of letting go doesn't really end. But every time you release something that no longer serves you, you get a little closer to your real self. And one day, a moment comes when you're finally standing without any baggage. You are clear, confident, and completely yourself. Many people think that letting go just means forgetting someone, ending a relationship, or erasing the past. But the truth is, letting go isn't a one-time decision. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's something you practice daily by asking yourself, can I feel a little lighter today? And when you start saying yes to that, you start building a friendship with yourself. Sometimes, we carry too much. We hold on to expectations, past mistakes, comparisons, guilt, and failures. And slowly, those things become weapons we use against ourselves. We smile on the outside, but something keeps pulling us back inside. We move forward in life, but our feet are tied with the chains of old stories. And then we wonder, why am I so tired? Why does life feel so heavy? Why do I feel incomplete even when I have everything? Nick Trenton's entire book and this journey reminds us of one powerful truth. You're not lacking anything. You just need to let go of the weight you've been carrying. When you release expectations from others, let go of your past regrets, and stop fearing the future, you don't lose anything. In fact, you gain. You gain back the energy that was trapped. You gain clarity that helps you reconnect with yourself. And you discover the peace that was never outside. It was always buried deep within. Maybe today, while listening to this, something stirred inside you. Maybe a line or a thought finally touched your heart. Maybe you recognized a belief that's been holding you back for years. And maybe now, you're beginning to see that letting go doesn't mean losing. It means standing up for yourself. So I just want to ask you one thing. From today, lighten yourself. Let go of the things that break you every single day. Release the memories that keep you up at night. Forgive the face in the mirror that you've doubted for so long. Let it all go. Not because others expect you to, not because the world needs to understand, but because you deserve to be free. Think only about this. Who could you become if you truly let go? Who is the version of you that survives once all of this is released? That version is real. That version is fearless. That version is no longer trapped in the past, no longer waiting for approval, and finally free. There's a voice inside every human being, a voice that one day finally rises and says, "That's enough. Now it's time to live for myself. Now it's time to love myself." And if this audio helped even a little to awaken that voice within you, if it gave you the courage to let that voice speak louder, then share it, pass it on. Because there are so many people out there who are fighting silent battles within themselves every single day. They need to hear this. They need to know they're not alone. Let's not make letting go just another trend. Let's make it a movement where people reconnect with themselves, where healing isn't hidden but honored, where we stop being ashamed of our wounds and start seeing them as our strength, where I'm letting go and I'm choosing myself, are no longer whispers of weakness, but powerful declarations of growth. I truly hope you found something meaningful in this book summary. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and sharing it with someone who might need it today. I'll meet you again in the next audiobook.